Gains from the sale of capital assets, known as capital gains, are taxed at a more favorable rate than ordinary income. Almost anything that can be owned and sold can be a capital asset. But a person can't sell something he doesn't own, as an unfortunate taxpayer was reminded in Baker versus Commissioner. Warren Baker was an agent for State Farm Insurance Company for over 30 years. Operating as the Warren L. Baker Insurance Agency, Baker contracted with State Farm to sell State Farm policies exclusively. Baker selected his office location, developed a customer base, and paid office expenses such as rent, telephone, and utilities. Baker also hired and paid 2 employees. The agent's agreement between Baker and State Farm specified that Baker was an independent contractor. State Farm provided Baker with manuals, forms, records, and other materials, but under the agreement, these materials remained State Farm's property. Policyholder information also belonged to State Farm. Either party could terminate the agreement by written notice. The agreement entitled Baker to a termination payment from State Farm if he returned all State Farm's property within 10 days after termination. The agreement also contained a covenant not to compete, specifying that Baker would forfeit the termination payment if he competed with State Farm within a year following termination. When Baker decided to retire, he terminated the agent's agreement and returned State Farm's property in the requisite time frame. This property included a computer, books and records, and a customer list. State Farm assigned most of Baker's existing insurance policies to a successor agent. The successor agent opened an office near Baker's old office and hired Baker's former employees. The successor agent also took over Baker's phone number. On his federal tax return, Baker reported the termination payment as long-term capital gains from the sale of assets to State Farm. The Internal Revenue Commissioner issued a deficiency notice against Baker, concluding that the termination payment was ordinary income that didn't qualify for capital gains treatment. Baker sought review from the United States Tax Court.